quite sure how they intend to see what is in the bag, because 100% is supposed to know the bag contents. But one of the issues that were raised when they were proposing 100% verification, one was to be sure that the taxes being funded in the form of VAT on bags used on export really correspond to the bags which have been exported. Number two, that they wanted to be sure that what is going out is not contraband, no alcohol and other things which are not legally allowed to be exported. Some issues come in mind when we got that communication from the URA. One, it supposes that we are not trustworthy, which is not a good thing to have in mind. And two, is that it supposes that they have enough manpower to go around. And three, in the case of coffee, which is already being supervised by another authority of the government, it supposes that they don't have enough trust in that body. Otherwise, they would think that it is enough to have UCDA to represent the interests of URA. Of course, we are raising all of these, bearing in mind that we had it before, and it caused so much delay that it had to be abandoned because there wasn't enough manpower to go around wherever there was already at the time desired by the exporter. So what made it fail, the circumstances still prevail that made it fail last time. But what hurts more is that we can't be trusted. We want that to rest, that we can trust another government body which works with you and continue with the body which is already around.
Oh, UCDA has been doing this job. I would like to know the reason why URA is taking it over. Was there a sort of, did they not meet the expectations? Was there a particular problem? I'd like to know why all of a sudden this has come. Have they talked to them to rectify it and they failed? That's why they are coming in.
The communication which we are referring to was a general communication which was made by the acting commission. General guidance on treatment of exports. It was general. The reasons why it was, and I'd like to explain the general perspective such that we can understand how specifically we are handling. There was a security meeting which was held on a number of issues. One, that the exports from Uganda are items which are contraband in nature. Because over a year ago, I think, if I can do remember, we had a case which was affecting one of the coffee companies. And I think I saw a lot of exchanges, and I think it was handled by Borole, if I do remember, which was said to have certain items which were not ordinarily coffee. Now, this meeting which was discussing primarily many things in general. It was a security meeting, and it involved Minister of Trade, and we were discussing the self-imposed ban on the export of horticultural items. We're very much aware Uganda imposed a ban on themselves because the exports which are going through had a lot of issues in the EU, so they felt they had to do that. But in that meeting when they were discussing, they also brought up a case which was a long time ago, which was, I remember that time one of the CEOs of the exporting company had to narrate and give a narrative of the investigation they did. And now actually they were not party to the contraband items which were found in that. I don't know the facts, so, but I do remember that that was the matter, and this is the brief I got. Now, so it was very, very important that that customs was blamed for relinquishing its role of playing a part in processing the exports. And so it was found out that customs had remained with it. First of all, we don't issue the certificates of origin. If they are to be issued and going to the EU, you have us do an endorsement function, and little do we do in terms of taking part in the examination of the goods. Even with the items which are moving in the region, you have the certificate issued by the Uganda Export Promotions Board, and what customs does is to actually do an endorsement function. When it comes to the horticulture items, some of them still, I think a year ago, they cited cases where they found some cigarettes as well smuggled in the EU from exports from this country. And from a security perspective, Uganda has become a transit country for very many products. Of recent, we have had the issue of ivory, too much. You get it, it disappears, it goes back, a lot of stories. So that is the general perspective. So from the general perspective, the measure was done in order to bring customs to do some kind of control, which is a conventional function which customs does. It's totally conventional, regardless of product. Of course, products go through different, meet different standards in a country. I certainly know that coffee meets a lot of standards, go through a lot of procedures, go through a lot of self-regulation by the authority, and you have a lot of control. My coming here was to share that bit of the general perspective, and we see how we have a confirmation of the procedures and the processes that you undertake in order to make sure that we avoid issues of the examination. I do recognize and I do believe doesn't add value to have a consignment weighed and taken through the entire process, which I cannot actually mention, and then loaded, and then taken at the border. You load it, you actually see it, taken at the border, then the seal is broken, and then you see another process being undertaken. It certainly doesn't add value. I also do recognize that from a customs perspective, it doesn't make sense in our way of doing business right now that we can take part in each and every examination. We can no longer do that. With imports, we don't do it. We cannot do it with exports. We don't have the capacity. Our methods of doing business now, we just do a compliance function. We check compliance for people who are actually doing conducting business with us. It happens with importations, and I think we have to do the same with exports. We cannot be able to examine each and everything. If you look at the measure which was put in place, it presupposes that each and every cargo which comes at the border is supposed to be examined. Wherever it is, you're supposed to go and check it. We don't have that capacity. We just need to know, to be sensitized about the procedures. In my perspective as a person in charge of trade, I have no problem if I'm very much aware about the procedures which you undertake and the controls you have in your industry, because I am very much aware that you are very much interested in the standards. Maybe different from the horticulture sector. The horticulture sector was very, very different. From my understanding about them, you have a director. I don't know whether some of you are also in that sector. By show of hands, no one. But this is what is happening. There, the sector doesn't have a lot of regulation because it's a new market which has just emerged. Coffee exports in this country is a very old trend. People who are older than us have done it, and they have ferried billions of containers across our borders. So because of that business, there should be some standards which you have evolved into, which needs to rest the comfort of the new measure, and then you have it move. Because we are not going to go ahead to do this with the coffee sector. We certainly need to understand and be assured of the controls which are in place in order to brief those who think that we should be involved and tell them that I think this sector we shouldn't be. It just goes with the other conventional exports like tea. We cannot do that. The packing sometimes is different, and I think also coffee is different. Sometimes you load in bulk, I think they are bulk containers, where it's not a bag. So you just imagine under that kind of packaging, how do you go into, first of all, just take the quality, weight, how do you even check a bulk? Because ordinarily you imagine that you need to have a scanner maybe to check, because if it's bulk, you are not going to put each and everything down and even check it. So it exposes a lot of things. What we need to do is to have the standards you have and the checks you have, and we have them affirmed and understand that this is the way coffee is treated, because we are not willing, and I imagine our officers are breaking down to get involved in the nitty-gritty. We don't want to do that. I'm certain and I assume that all the people in the coffee sector are more interested about the brand, you're more interested about the reputation of Ghana coffee, and actually you are the best brand protectors and reputation protectors more than us. Ours would be just because we have got a mandate, but for you are actually protecting the market. And our value should be to add onto you, to give you mileage such that you don't go through customs and increases the cost of doing business. And I think that is very good. So from that, my thinking is, now that I've given you the background, my proposal all the way forward is we get to understand the legislature and the procedures that we undertake. If there are any proposals that we have to make, we can make them. But predominantly the work which should cushion the worries which emerge should entirely be in you, the exporters, not in us. We don't have a capacity. If we get involved, we shall actually break down the business. And we don't want to take on that kind of reputation of having broken down the business beyond supply chain in assuming our function as customer business. That is what I'm saying. Briefly.
So for us, we have two interests. We collect money, which we use for running the URA activities, and at the same time, we refer to access. At the same time, we ensure that the coffee meets the export requirements. The export requirements are very clear. There are those specifications for the coffee, and we have the grades which were passed by part of the Federate, the parliamentary statute according to the standards, but of late we worked in the grades and improving them to accommodate the changes, and we have another grading system which was approved by the board. And there's also a review of the statute which is going on of the regulations, and we will maybe come up with some little changes in the grading systems already to accommodate what has been approved. So our system is very clear. Every country that is ready to look at it. Nobody loads coffee without our permission. The transporters, you are not looking at the regulations in coffee. UCDA is mandated to oversee all the activities. Transporting coffee is among the activities where you are abusing our mandate by rushing the process. That's why I have a problem with you. And there I will also be in line with this with revenue. So if it comes up and say we want to check everybody, because that is if they abuse that, as we said. So maybe in future we might have a collaboration with UCDA. We already have the collaboration on the body. We respect taxi once taxi is there. And I hope this is going to be the same, to ease the process. But if what the transporters are doing may be the goal for what is as UCDA, every exporter is registered with us. So we know who is the player. There is no coffee that is exported by anybody who is not registered with us. And one of the interests also we have, everybody must have a performance bond to protect anything that might come out of the operation, losses by the buyer or by the seller. At times the exporters don't know that performance bond also protects them. So we have a lot of interest in the coffee, and that's why we make sure that whatever is passing through our hands means the URA does not need to be present, because we used to experience a lot of delays. You could wait for the URA to start, takes a while, there used to be very few. Challenge is also passing through is that the URA clearing desk have been having challenges because at times they handle coffee without documents of UCDA, and maybe the transporters or what are going to them later, or they don't. To me, I will not hesitate to mention it to you, Commissioner, so that you can take care of this. There is a copy with the office of the quality certificate is the one for URA. URA is supposed, before clearing any copy, to make sure that this thing is there, because originally they were using photocopies and there was a lot of exports, unauthorized exports. So we decided to make sure that every container has a certificate and is a copy for URA, which is attached to the end. There is a copy for the buyer. So I would request, Commissioner, that from today, the URA make sure that they emphasize or they make it a condition that without a UCDA certificate, the coffee is not clear. Maybe it can help us to avoid what we have been talking about. By the time you have a certificate, that means you have witnessed the origin. But coffee coming in and being cleared without a certificate, maybe that's what is causing the worries you have. So I think we need to maybe sit down as the two mandatory bodies and see how best we can maybe put measures that can so that we can smoothen the whole process and the exporters can export their coffee very, very fast, and will be addressed all these problems maybe I'm talking about.
So you need to lay out your issues so that you can maybe address them. Whatever you cannot address them, you will definitely find ways of addressing that. And these people, they change, because we have seen that whenever they post some new people at an order post, the exporters usually find some challenges, coffee being denied to move. And we had asked him to first of all sensitize these guys, tell them what coffee is all about, how the process of coffee move before posting them there. But it seems this one sometimes they do there.
From what the Commissioner mentioned and what Edmund has said, I think all of us exporters and clearing agents agree that we have the duty between us and the regulator to inform the URA of the activities that we go through all the way from loading up to export, so that it's comfortable that coffee is self-regulated. Well, not self-regulated because there is the Regulations Act, but already fully regulated. That is one. So I think from here we can say that we probably come together again, put together a small document that we will forward to the Commission. And regarding the staff at the border, they change a lot. So while I like your suggestion of somebody in your race starting his staff at at the border, I would suggest that the regulator, the coffee regulator, UCDA, makes it either the coffee regulator or UCF. Because I think we should take it upon ourselves to sensitize URA staff at the border regularly, because they change. So you could probably say quarterly, you have a team from either UCF or the UCDA or a combination of the two, the exporters. Have a chat with the URA staff at the border, whoever will be there, they keep changing, so that they know.
I think the laws governing the American laws, we are obliged to follow those laws under the ICO, which is the International Coffee Organization. All our contracts are very clear. And even the people handling coffee themselves, the players as UCDA, the inspection companies like SCE, SDS, and the rest, which are mandated by our buyers in Europe, who are actually 100% liable in case of anything that goes wrong. I think we only need to refresh a little bit. And also, as Betty said, that these people need to know, some of the sensitization needs to go to URA staff, because you need to come into an industry whereby you have at least zero knowledge about it, of which the importance would be much if you first had time and took your staff into training to know exactly what does it mean, what is coffee. Coffee is food. Not only Tom, Dick, and Harry handles it. So like you mentioned, there is two these kind of shops in Kampala. It's very sensitive. Good people into the industry have been trained, and we usually have regular trainings with UCDA. Actually, they're on our backs all the time to make sure that things are done right. So I think we need to handle this very, very carefully, because first of all, the process is too long at the moment. We are having a global pressure in international from our bodies. UCD as a governing body is also other stuff, because how long does it take to have a quality certificate? If you're saying to have the truck to go through Maraba, you have a copy ready, because as soon as you know this coffee, the Budia wants the truck to do what? To move. You've got to wait for UCDA to take the coffee to the laboratory, test it, come up with the quality certificate, which is not an hour or two. Sometimes it can take even 2 or 3. Assuming even it's an end of the month that you're switching from one month to the other. All right? If I shipped coffee on 1st or 2nd of this month, UCDA's first work on to other documents of the previous month. So this the new loading will wait for another at least week. So URA, I think, needs to also to push UCDA to have more staff, so that this process is clear, is smooth. Otherwise, for them, they are not stretched with this kind of exercise. You need, at the point of loading a container of coffee, you need about 4 or 5 personnel around. Trucks sleep over to wait for personnel to be around, so that the coffee is loaded. No single container leaves this country without a seal from UCDA, from the haulage company, from the inspection company. You need the phytos, you need the Ministry of Agriculture, phytosanitaries and stuff. And also, my request to you would be, as one of the players, that we should even scrap the VAT on garden bags, because that's where I see the very big point. Because when our exporters are coming back to claim for the VAT, that's when the revenue comes up and says, well, we don't understand this. Right? Yes.
The impact on every player involved. And the players involved are not only the coffee exporter, but even the guy in the shamba who's making the coffee, who's growing the coffee. The reason why I say this is that we have to understand the pricing of Ugandan coffee in relation to the world prices. We have to understand that extra costs which could be avoided will impact everybody. If we are saying that we do all these procedures, additional procedures, there is a cost involved, which cost will be on passed down the chain. What does we're talking about? Are they reputable companies, for example? Yeah. URA very well has a process in place for imports, which has taken into consideration these factors, and they have allowed a number of importers, based on certain checks which they have done, to bring cargo in without verification. So in any case, if they needed to implement this kind of procedure, they should do this same kind of analysis and say, okay, this specific lot of exporters are exempt, yeah, because they are compliant. And this they can do very easily with UCDA. They can, you know, before we leave here, I just want, because I heard what Stephen saying that he instructed, but we just need to be clear that this information has reached the guys on the ground. Because even as of this morning, the information from field services was that all containers must be opened and verification must take place. So we need to make sure that the instruction is going to be forwarded that until they get maybe clearer procedures of how to go about this, that this is put on hold and that we continue business until such time.
I have to ask you a question. Excuse me if you say this one, but what is the problem with the level of URA? You know, respecting UCDA, going to UCDA, talking to UCDA as the authority about what you want to do before coming in. Because we not always say the victim is in UCDA. Now we hear that this has already been almost implemented. And why can you come to UCDA and you don't have the prayer and the other prayers involved? Because I'm sure you bring out UCDA, you streamline and take the information you want. Because if UCDA came to the exporter and said, I want you guys to do things this way, I'm sure the exporters will be happy to do what UCDA want to do. For us, we cannot finish URA is actually coming down, and we've had about the process involved. And it's going down to the farmers, so you can see where this is coming from.
URA network is off or unstable or not available, whatever the word you can use. And sometimes it can be as long as a day or even sometimes 2 days. And it would appear that the customs officers have been instructed not to process entries manually, because when those circumstances exist, we are not allowed to process anything, and the only thing we can do is wait with our trucks. Now this creates many problems. We miss vessels on which we should have shipped. We lack a lot of parking space at the border. And eventually, when network is back and you work, you can't move because of the jam. So either way, you will miss the targeted vessels anyway. Can we have a minimum time we should wait, and then money processing is allowed? But my understanding of smuggling is that you are taking things out of the country and documented by customs. But when you arrest trucks in Magamaga or anywhere along the way, before they are even reached the border, I don't know why you categorize that as smuggling. Since we are discussing that the entries should have policy in place, you wait at the point where we present the entries and we ask whether we have to policy. But don't interrupt movement of cargo when it is still within the country, because there is no smuggling that can take place.
You have to know that mandatory or the regulations is very clear that you should not move off without permit. Did you know that? So when you are arrested between here and Malawi, moving in coffee which have paid, as long as it is coffee, it is not illegal. If you don't have the certificate, and I can show you the regulations. So I think URA is doing the right thing. To me, it is mandatory that to move coffee, you must have what? A moving permit. Export. Everybody knows this, except you.
I'll come to
So, no, really, this was, you know, states to tell me it's the most of others. Because to me, URA, that's a corporation which I think URA is doing for us, and is helping us, those who are moving coffee, which is not yet cleared, and it ends up passing the border. We get interest from URA, and we compare with what the issue, the coffee gets issue. And to me, I think it's now we maybe give a stand warning to the transporters and the clearing agent that soon we shall come up with a point and say you cannot clear coffee. If you have accumulated number of coffee that you have passed through the border without documents, you are smuggling, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So you either respect and observe the coffee regulations. To me, if you are going to be a clearing agent, clearing coffee and transporting coffee. To me, I would maybe request you to strengthen the blocking of anybody moving coffee from Uganda to the border without the coffee certificate, if it's export coffee, with our seal on the container.
What if the container is sealed but the documents are delayed?
Movement means you are moving. Moving, there's a difference between the sealer and the moving. Secondly, you talked about inspection of coffee. The requirement is that what they call a pre-shipment form. And this pre-shipment form, when you present it, we pick a sample and analyze it, and we take you to road. In the situation that you bring a container early, before the coffee is authorized or inspected, it is your problem. The regulations are very clear. That before you export any coffee,
I think UCDA should also be mindful about the time value of money.
The law you cannot
these people are using their money to do the trading.
I want to tell you that Uganda is very different from any other country.
Yes, I know that.
I want to tell you that we go to countries, and so long as you don't meet even a single full point on a certain thing, the judgment will not pass through. I would like you inform your members that they should observe the laws that are running in the country. One of them are UCDA laws. If you are going to trade coffee, you must observe them. We are very, very much concerned about time wastage, and we are very, very much trying to make sure that we serve you in the right time. But remember, the transporters, when the exporter requests you for a container and you take 1 month to bring it, coffee is inspected. When you bring it at 6, you expect it like this. Not at all. You must also know that the procedure is there. Pre-shipment, authorization.
So I have demand
about the UCDA policy. When we are loading a coffee for today, then we are generally getting the UCDA quality certificate on the next day. So what else we can do in speeding up the process, or allowing the truck to move with some kind of endorsement from UCDA in the documents, and then later presenting the documents to the customers and the quality certificate.
We cannot break our own laws, please. We cannot break the laws today. The only thing I can say is I propose this. We worked out something with URA, and we're in the process of installing the Scooter world. I hope maybe URA maybe can work on this and we have it. Because this is going very fast to clear, meaning that all the coffees will be cleared by us also. Whichever document we have.
This cabinet is not supposed to be moved out until it gets the quality certificate. It's like you are telling us that when they load the containers, we have to keep them in our yards until we get the documents and they move out. Can you clarify on that?
The containers which are loading are shipping to your way to transport premises. That one is allowed. But when you are going to take it from Kampala, you must have documents if you are going to
given us instructions. Target students. Most times when this coffee is ready, it is being held, has to wait for documents from UCDA. We also have a deadline to meet. So much as the laws are there, we also request that UCDA staff processes these documents in time to enable faster movement of this country. I agree with you that the laws are there, but we also need to have these processes move as fast as possible.
Showing that all the parts are coming to our learning-based shunting class. These are not shunting class. The transporter is at the truck going direct to Mombasa. I'm supposed to go to 20 containers, 18 containers per day. I don't have that kind of capacity to hold these trucks in my yard. So I keep these yards after staffing. Because these are not shunting trucks. These are trucks going loading and moving straight to port. I have no capacity to hold all these trucks in my yard. So if I hold this, then I don't load them next day also. Because the person will come next day. So what do I do?
I'll maintain my point. The coffee must move with the coffee certificate, and it was passed to the Parliament of Uganda. You go and change it there. But for us, our objective is make sure that you take it with the certificate. And the reasons why you need the certificate, it is a proof that this coffee is meeting the export requirements. The exporters, all the transporters, your own work, you have your own work to do, your role to play. Your role is to transport coffee. Our role is to supply this coffee. In many cases, the exporters have suffered the weaknesses. In the transporters side, on the transporter side, you request for a truck, it takes a month. But when you come, we want to blame you.
I don't think we're in the same country.
The problem from a global perspective. Right now, our economy is not in a good shape. We must have seen a lot of fluctuations day and night. The reason is because there are less exports. The little exports we have are the #1 exports that earns more than $500 million is coffee. It's only coffee. The international community is pumping in a lot of money to boost coffee production. We all stakeholders, right from His Excellency, the Cabinet, and all parastatals who are here, our focus is on coffee. We need to have an amicable. We just not think about the old rules, because every day we are changing. URA is changing methods. They are widening the tax base. UCDA is changing methods. They want productivity and more coffee and better quality. So we cannot stick and be archaic in that this should move and this should not move. The purpose of this meeting is how can we work together? How can we listen? All stakeholders here, present, transporters, forwarders, exporters, URA, UCDA, PSFU, all, we have a stake and we want to harmonize this. We want it better done. Get revenues, get more exports, better the foreign exchange, have more incomes, and better lives here. So it's not like we're not building confidence, we're not trusting so and so, we're going to catch things. No. This meeting should be seen as how better can we achieve more. And if we put it at that level, I think some of the sentiments that are developing will not, they will be clear and we see what to do. So solution #1, or maybe if I came in late, I'm sorry, the challenges we have as exporters, mainly with re-verification. I have 6 points to mention that have stagnated us and caused a serious problem. 1, trucks overstay at the border and repair damage, serious damage to exporters and forwarders. Coffee is a dietary. We don't know who removes bags, who puts bags, or if he puts coffee. And we know the people who are there are tax experts, not even UCDA experts, not even us who have produced
and staked a lot of money to deliver what we have promised buyer. 3, thefts. Right now, the claims in UCF and UCDA have started losing coffee. Short landings have become short landing. 4, delays. People are the buyers. We are not only in a landlocked country, but we are even creating more obstacles because we don't meet. You know what it takes Vietnam, what it takes Brazil, what it takes Kenya to deliver to the buyer. We are somewhere in the jungle, but we are just adding insights. His Excellency and they even instructed URA to work 24/7. That's why we have saying UCDA, please step up, support them. We are not telling you to work at night, but at least if we load, this coffee must move. Why should we sit to wait for some? So wait for this to record. They only hardly 15 serious exporters. I don't know how many inspectors you have. Cooperate. You can put a desk in UCDA to build confidence. Maybe if you don't trust them. But I know they have been correcting a lot of sales, which is part of your work as tax collectors. I've done it excellently. None of us, I think, exports coffee without paying sales. If it's more than that, maybe put a desk, a few people, such that Edmund, when he's selling inspector, he collaborates with the desk at URA. They know Yugakov, Chagarani, wherever, I'm going to inspect 10 boxes. I'll make sure I deliver documents fast. And once I put my seal, no need to disturb this coffee at the border. Coffee is very delicate, I have said it. We are trying to protect that crop. Prices are diminishing and diminishing. The first movers are the ones in the market. The ones with the best quality are the ones in the market. Where we don't have any further now in logistics. So we cannot keep shouting, we are promoting exports, we are modernizing, we are doing livelihood when we have such obstacles. So it's my humble request that these points have brought forward to you, the impediments at the border because of re-verification, are a stumbling block to this economy, not only us. To Edmund, I think if you collaborated with, or if they collaborated with you, I don't know who's this person there, that it can be worked out jointly. We say because we are landlocked. We have many challenges as exporters. We don't have any margins. We are tracing I appeal to this meeting here that we square. We just look at the best of how we can do it. We are very willing exporters. We're in this trade. We want to do it. We want to do it immediately. We have contracts. We have insurances. We have many things. If a container is tampered with, insurance will say no. I can't know who was there. I wasn't there. I'm the owner of the merchant. Neither the buyer was there. Yes, but what you are doing is also noble as URA. But see how you can do it without paralyzing everything. And at the end of the day, you don't do anything. Thank you very much.
When we make changes frequently. Our understanding is that we sensitize our staff on many issues, but of course specific sectors require specific sensitization. As I said, we have a general awareness on most of the issues, say exports, like this communication with them. If we need a specific sensitization as far as standards and some of the controls that you do to the people at the border, we will gladly do that. Because for us, we are at the border, we can be at the border anytime. If the UCDA comes up with a schedule of reaching some of our staff at the border, we can appoint a staff and they dialogue with them and take them through some of the things. Because when officers are informed, they take better decisions. We certainly believe that. Someone who is not informed doesn't actually understand the impact of some of the decisions that they do. So we don't need to deny them information. I don't need to keep this information here at Crescent Towers. The information needs to go to the person who interfaces with the container. I don't interface with any profit. And yet I am involved in policy the implementation. So I think it's very, very important that go by schedule, and then we see how we can get there and sensitize them. It's welcome. Secondly, there is an issue to do with the issue of providing the guide. Yes, the guide was sent a long time ago. I think for us to have it again is better. But what is very, very important, here is something which is pertinent, that why are we having these measures coming on board? The world has changed many times. If you did travel 10 years ago, you express that you used to move from here to the airport and you fly. You can't complain why. You have to get your vehicle charged. You no longer even have to reach out where the vehicles used to drop you. So for me, if we have the procedures, can we look at them and know whether they meet the challenges of today? Because many laws have changed, institutions have been developed because of the world now. So we can't avoid that. My view is, we need to look at the current issues. Like I did tell you, this issue emerged from the intelligence perspective. Total intelligence perspective. I'm not in charge of intelligence in this country. Even our manning of the airport has actually changed. We used to be, 10 years ago, customs would be overall. But now you've got judge, you've got the head of the airport, and we report to them. And despite the fact this is a customs gazetted station. So things have really changed. We may have to look at the procedures the way they are and question ourselves, do they address the current global challenges or worries of government at this time? If there are areas where we can change, the man does those. And so we can go the amendments and the procedures. So I think for us we are open to change as long as we meet the current. Respect other authorities because they have got a mandate under the laws that we have. I was thinking that if it was about engaging each and every party, certainly we would have engaged a number. But there are certain measures which come in and we implement, and some issues actually come later, like actually it has come down, that we need maybe to segment and treat this sector separately. So the fact that we never maybe engaged would be, maybe erroneous, if I would say. There was no agency we engaged on this, but the fact that the issues are coming now, we shall address them and make sure we resolve them. The network of URA as an I would need to think about a solution, but I would need advice from from you, the players. I don't know how many of you process transactions when the truck is at the border. All the biggest percentage processes the transactions when you're still in the market. I don't know. Because if, the reason I'm asking is to say this, if we all agree that that we are starting the transactions and processing them in Kampala, it gives us a lot of time because we know most of it moves by road. If you start a process in Kampala and you've got a certificate, because a certificate is very, very important. You can't move from point A to B until when you have a certificate. You could agree that if you start, you have a certificate, and you started our process in Kampala and you don't make Kampala. If the system is not functional, to put there a provision which allows you to continue with your movement from the customs perspective until when you go to the border. We are trying to buy time. I don't know how many hours it takes you to go to the border. The transporters can advise us. 5-6 hours? Around 5 hours. That would allow us to see how to mitigate. But if the process starts when the truck is already at the border, then it becomes very, very complex. We are developing manual processes. At the moment, we don't have a manual processor. And that is the disadvantage that we have. We have, all our processes are automated. We don't have the manual process at the moment, but we are in the process of building the manual process as a fallback mechanism when we have a challenge. Because even the importers have complained that we don't seem to have another option. We have only one option A, and that is causing a lot of issues. We think that our strength will fall in that option B, because we can never guarantee when the system can break or may be efficient at the end. But my recommendation would be, if we can pick it and we evaluate that, we agree that we start the process in Kampala, and if the process, the system cannot allow the conclusion of the process here, the vehicle can move up the border and look at what we can actually do in the 5 hours when the vehicle is moving. I think that will help us. But if you start at the border, that means you have to wait at the border for all those hours until when network is available to process, such that by the time somebody is doing the process, or not even waiting for the manual certificate to be issued, can be an electronic certificate, such that they have a system in their offices, they start to issue. When the certificate has been issued, our officer just looks at it, and then you go on with the process. That is very much available, and I would be glad to take that as far as explanation is concerned. That will be very good and smart. We start the process and then we conclude it without even somebody coming to our offices. That will actually simplify something. And any other process where we can work with UCDA, I know we can agree on a number of things that we can actually do from the system perspective. That the fact that maybe VAT has to be described. I'll still give a general perspective. We have most of these Uganda bags are imported when they're not labeled. I normally authorize permission for them to be labeled and then accountability given later, because the ones labeled for export, there is no actually tax on them. That is how we run. If you have a very strong opinion about change of laws, there is a very good procedure which you have to do. I still believe that everything can change as long as there is justification. Because this time round, it may not only be the coffee people, it has to affect all other people. Because under this same provision, we have got all the people who actually bring in packaging material for cement, which they export. There are many other industries which bring packaging material. If you feel that you're being affected by this provision, then you may need to consult all the people who are actually bringing this packaging material and be able to see how you can be able to circumvent the VAT provision. I believe that engagement can be so fruitful. It can be done, and we see how far we can really go. But I think it's worth suggesting if you feel there's a battle. The VAT laws change every year, and the process starts around January, December. You get the policy department after consulting other people who bring exports, and you see if there is a change. Should they be nil? Should they be this? It is something which I cannot conclude, but to say that the process can start if it has to be done. Yes, we have got, there's a question of we have got companies which are quality assured and we don't have to look at each and everything. I know we have some of the handlers, the forwarders here who are authorized economic operators, and I know we should be able to have some of the people who are in the export of coffee to be maybe authorized economic operators as well. We have an entire framework for people who actually engage in exportation and importation, where we can go through your process and be able to accredit you or quality assure you and make sure we don't have to look at your transaction any longer. This is important. It is there. We have a framework. If you want your company to benefit under this framework in terms of accreditation, what we consider compliant trader scheme, we can certainly take you through the process and see if you really qualify, because there are benefits in that scheme as well. We started segmentation of exporters and importers, and certainly you desire to be segmented and treated differently. So we may have to take on that approach for most of the people. But also, that does not negate the fact that as URA, we still don't feel that we have a lot of functions that we have to take part, we have to do by being involved in each and every process. It is very, very tedious. We feel we cannot have the capacity to do that because the times have really changed. Yes, there's a question which came in directly. I think the gentleman has left to us information when he said that why don't we respect UCDA? Why do we implement without the mask? The theft, as I say, even we don't have people with those standards. Let me tell you, what the officers, when they open the container, they are trying to look whether it's coffee or nothing. Maybe in the future, if you've got scanners which can scan, you can just drive through uninterrupted. That will also help. But on a case by case basis. I don't know whether that would affect coffee. It is scanners. I think it's not. Yes, scanning. No, not. Scanning. That's no scanning. Well, I'm saying X-ray scanning. No. Without opening scanning, non-intrusive examination. This will also sort out quite a number of issues. We are breaking the borders, and we have 2 scanners already have been with us for like over 2 years.
5 years. 5 years. Protecting about them and you're not using them.
Because we didn't have a facility which can accommodate them. They are very sensitive to dust. Our borders have to be upgraded. These are things, it's a planning perspective. We had the standards before because they were actually related to this stuff. So we have to seize them not to the infrastructure. So, but the infrastructure, the border is better, can allow the scanner to be there. We can do that, but that still should be a case by case. I still believe that as far as the worries of the new emerging worries in the national trade are concerned, UCDA will be able to do that kind of measure. I can strongly affirm that we don't have capacity to go and be everyone. We can only think about doing things differently while meeting the standards which are required. I think that is from the general perspective. I mentioned.
Here is saying that we should not disturb the containers. Assuming you have lines, for example, if I say I got a couple of rice in a PR container, and you have about 200 of them, and they are coming to Uganda, and KRA is saying you have to transport as they are in that form up to Uganda. Yet on the other side of Mombasa, we have clients here in Uganda which have maybe have other lines that they would want to start in the airport to go to Europe, which are not available at that time in Uganda. But these lines would be actually accommodate that cargo to come to Uganda. That would mean the containers which have arrived in Mombasa from the PIA containers can be crossed into maybe other lines which are needed, like MSCs or WAKE or any other lines, which the exporters or the transporters or agents in Uganda want, so that they can serve the coffee and it goes to Europe. So our worry was that the Kenyan government saying that the disturbing or cross-staffing of cargo into other lines should not be allowed, or is not allowed, would actually affect our operations or deter clear movement of operations from Uganda to Europe, that matter. So that is why we're thinking that we need to find a way out to see that we can support each other through maybe the cooperation of Uganda and maybe other partners, so that we can also urge the Kenyan government to allow the cross-staffing of these containers into those lines that are suitable or that are chosen by the clients to the outside world to staff coffee so that it can go to European ports. So that was the point that my boss was trying to make. And if you realize there are certain times when imports are low, you realize you are going to miss some containers or some containers are scarce. So those are the times where you're thinking this is the best way for such an operation to be done. So you realize that some importers have a lot of cargo coming to Uganda, and when they are importing, you realize the markets that now are being used, like especially China, because people are buying from those markets which are a bit cheaper. So they are trying to get lines which are mostly not going to European ports. You realize most of our clients, or maybe most of the importers of Ugandan coffee, are European-based. So when you have some containers coming to Uganda and they are not majorly applying the rules of Europe, then it is of course it's going to deter most of the operations from movement of the coffee from Uganda to those markets or to those destinations. So that's why we're trying to think about a way out of how we can support each other, so that the staffing of that cargo coming to Uganda is done in those friendlier shipping lines, so that we are able to support the shippers or the exporters from Uganda to be able to supply the plants as well.
Saying that if we strip in Mombasa, we put these cargoes like rice, sugar, etc. in 2 containers that can go to Europe, it will help the shippers to export their coffee.
You were talking about stripping other companies,
mainly sugar and rice.
Mainly sugar and rice.
Yes.
You want to strip them in Mombasa,
Yes.
such that they come to Uganda after all.
In containers that can go to Europe.
Instead of moving those empty containers.
Instead of taking the containers back to Mombasa.
This one's also
Because you see, the reason why it becomes wider, it's not only it is affecting other products. Because you see, if what you're presenting, you want now to have a discussion with the people who are bringing sugar, for
we have already done that.
and
That is already discussion.
That's what
but the permission is not granted.
Exactly.
Like KRAs.
Like KRAs. I certainly know the issues because sugar is a very risky product. Rice is equally considered to be highly sensitive in Kenya. And I think that's why they are actually farmed. But are there other products which we can look at?
Volume-wise, they are, but 70% is sugar and rice. 30%.
So this discussion we are talking about is not only the imports, it's also the exports. Because we can take coffee in affordable containers, but we should have it on the sea. Which in Mombasa, the appropriate but we are not getting permission.
Is that you use procedures which are careful procedures which are affecting your exports, we can take them if they are careful procedures, because with KRA we have gone a long way, and we have even a higher framework under which we can discuss this under the single customs territory, where we actually report to the heads of state. So my recommendation would be that I think in a week's time, or a couple of weeks' time, we are going to be having country consultations on matters which are going to be discussed within the sectors, the different sectors, if you heard about the single customs territory and this the Northern Corridor integration projects. So my proposal is that you come up with these issues, then we discuss them. I will notify Betty when the meeting will be in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as we prepare to discuss country issues. Then within that framework we can discuss this. And if it's an issue to do with the KRA, we shall gladly take it up. We cannot provide a solution. We just need to understand why they have that measure. And if there is room for review, yes, I know the review. Because under that framework, I've seen no change. And nothing cannot change. Everything can really change. So we can take it up in that way. My thinking is that prepare the brief on the issues, and then we should discuss them under that framework and see how we can do it. Which is coming here, you may have to think about it wider and have maybe CFSs which can handle cargo which is from Uganda and going out, and with the capacity of the staff we are upscaling in Mombasa. I think it's a very good market to take up. I'll really take that up.
About the implication of the amendment of the income tax, which required the traders to ensure that the people they are buying coffee from are team registered. But we don't have the capacity to doing that. We are not authorized people to carry out the registrations. This issue has been going on, and actually I talked to you about it and you gave us some personnel to follow it up, but it has not gone anywhere. We have had a couple of meetings where the Ministry of Finance us has been promising to come and join us for a meeting to have discussions with him, but no meetings have not been attended. Right now we are just trying to take it up with your private sector foundation, but again, it has not yet come to a ready conclusion. So I don't know how you can assist us in this issue. Because you, as an exporter or a trader, you cannot tell me that I cannot buy coffee from someone who's not been registered. Yet I have my obligation to buy the coffee and ship it. If I don't fulfill my contract, I have some obligations. Yet I'm not the person authorized to register those people.
I think what I think we could, it's not only your sector. I think many sectors, the agriculture sector has been affected, especially we transact large volumes of money with people who are totally in the informal sector. And yet the measure was trying to bring people in the informal sector into the tax payment category. What we could do, I'll take this from here and discuss with the Commissioner DT and find a way in which we can sensitize and maybe even, not only sensitizing, we can run a drive of providing team to most of the people whom you can list and document as people who are players in this sector. If the challenge is you have to, we can sensitize them, but still for you as a purchaser, you have to explain to them the obligation that they have to do. And I know some of the people who sell have been looking around to see, is there any party who can purchase their coffee without those requirements? I know. And of course for you, if you agree to set it up as a standard, and you agree that no one is going to do that because you actually mandated to do that, we can organize and have a list of all those players and make sure we have a devoted process of making sure that they actually get team. Kind of a team registration process. Right now we are running what we call a team bonanza. We have run it in the papers. We are sensitizing people about team and making sure that people can come on board. However, that sensitization does not reach out to some of the players we're dealing with. We may have to have maybe a catalog of all the parties where your expenses go and they supply you coffee, and then see how to organize a specific process together with the domestic tax to make sure that they can acquire team. It is our role to sensitize them. If you told us the people we need to reach, and then we should be able to run a campaign of registering them. We are well placed all over the country. We can reach them using our country offices, wherever they are, the nearest office, and make sure that you reach them. If we can get the details, I think that is the best way in which we can do this, in order to support the law, because we cannot violate the provisions of the law. We can only put in measures to see that we actually reach them and have a devoted process of reaching out those who are supplying you the coffee. Can we take that up? It depends. What we may require is having you as Chagalani giving us a list of the many people who actually supply you or you expense through over a period of time, and then we know their location. We can run a campaign of reaching them and take them through that process and make sure that it's actually conclusive. Because when you tell them to go willingly, they will actually take time, maybe they process, maybe they get clogged, but to address them as a segment, Now that you're talking about you are into a purchase season and you are going to go into that process, it may affect them actually to be paid because you're supposed to spend money to them, and actually we may need to use that kind of thing. We can run that if it's really agreed.
I'll request Mr. to assist me in this. Then the other thing is sensitization of URA staff. It's very, very crucial. Dissemination of information. also come out prominently. There should be close collaboration between UCDA and URA in regard to the matters of exports. He also talked about the door of a single window with UCDA, which is also important. What else? There was also an issue of unstable network of URA, whereby he said that the processes should start from Kampala, so that by the time it reaches the border, everything has been taken care of. He also said he's going to discuss issues with the team of tin registration with the commissioner. I don't know whether I've forgotten him, but okay. Also the issue of trust between the players. So this will come out all this.
Let's actually take you back. I want the economy to be implemented for us. I just want a yes or no. Opening this container because it's many words and many words are very confusing. I want a simple, and the moment until I come back to you, it is at a full stop.
Okay, what I'm going to do, let me send a communication to the border. Let me copy her communication. Okay. If she can print that out, yes. I'll need to get feedback to somebody who has not. Okay. I'll do that by tomorrow.